Hamas was never a household name before October 7, 2023. On the fateful day, 3,000 Hamas terrorists infiltrated Israel, carried out grotesque slaughter of 1,400 innocent Israelis. Terror groups al-Qaeda and ISIS congratulated Hamas for October 7 attack. We need Gazans' blood. This was Hamas leaders' blood-curdling demand on television. Hamas is now what al-Qaeda became after 9/11. Same tactics, different names. What does Hamas say about jihad? Is Hamas now following the playbook of al-Qaeda and ISIS? This is the story of the horror of Gaza and global jihad.
لا أقول تستصرخكم، بل نحن الذين نحتاج هذه الدماء لكي توقظ فينا روح الثورة، لكي توقظ فينا العناد، لكي توقظ فينا التحدي والسير إلى الأمام.
Ismail Haniyeh, the top leader of the Hamas movement, said that the blood of Gazans will win against Israel. Since 7th October 2023, devastated Israelis have struggled to find words raw and powerful enough to convey the trauma of what happened on that day, and have turned to comparing Hamas to terror group ISIS. Hamas appears to have the details of all the work al-Qaeda and ISIS have put together. Since 7th October, there have been concerns that Hamas's attack and the Israeli military's response in the Gaza Strip could provide a window of opportunity for the global jihadi movement to revive itself after years of decline. The long ongoing debate over jihad was reignited after the Palestinian terrorist group provoked a new war. What happened next was history.
Terrorist group Hamas has slaughtered, as has been pointed out, over 1,300 people. And it's not hyperbole, it's just slaughtered. And including 31 Americans as part of that. They're committed evils and atrocities that make ISIS look somewhat more rational.
Following its gruesome terrorist attack in Israel, Hamas has frequently been compared or even equated to the Islamic State. Although it may be politically tempting to equate Hamas, ISIS, al-Qaeda because they all share similar views. But could it result in misleading assessments of the risks of jihadist terrorism? Al-Qaeda and ISIS are jihadist organizations, whereas Hamas, in contrast, propagates an Islamist nationalist agenda. Hamas differs in significant ways from the most notorious jihadi groups. However, it is equally important to note that both al-Qaeda and Islamic State are looking to use the sympathy for Palestinians to encourage terror attacks and boost their own recruitment.
كل الأراضي فلسطينية يعني زوال إسرائيل؟
طبعا وجود إسرائيل غير منطقي. وجود إسرائيل هو اللي بخلق كل هذه الآلام والعذابات والدموع والدماء. هي إسرائيل مش إحنا ضحية الاحتلال، نقطة وآخر السطر. لذلك ما حدا يلومنا، إحنا شو اللي بنعمله. في 7 أكتوبر، في 10 أكتوبر، في مليون أكتوبر، إحنا اللي بنعمله مبرر. It is justified، مبرر.
After the Israeli attack, the entire modus operandi was modeled on ISIS. As per Israeli Defense Forces, manuals describing how to carry out sudden raids and ISIS flags were seized from dead or arrested Hamas terrorists. The attackers had divided their operations into 3 stages. The terrorists were asked to keep sufficient amount of food and water with them, to keep the hostages in secure locations and shoot them if required. They were instructed not to speak on wireless for fear of intercepts and leave the bargaining for release of hostages to the political leadership. However, despite sharing similar views on these larger issues, al-Qaeda and ISIS fundamentally disagree with Hamas on a number of issues.
Al-Qaeda issued its most specific call to attack the United States in the last 5 years. ISIS urged its followers to target Jewish communities in the United States and Europe. Hezbollah has publicly expressed its support for Hamas and threatened to attack U.S. interests in the Middle East.
The jihadis of al-Qaeda and Islamic State call themselves Salafis, after the early followers of the Prophet Muhammad. Hamas doesn't fit the Salafi mold, as the Palestinian militants have a narrow and nationalistic approach. Hamas casts its holy war as defensive, aimed at claiming territory it considers a God-given. There is also the inconvenient fact that ISIS literally views Hamas as apostates because of its support from Shia Iran. A second key difference is their relative religious extremism. Hamas is religiously conservative, but it does not ruthlessly harass or kill non-Muslims in Gaza simply because of their faith or religious comportment. However, after October 7 marked the single bloodiest day in Israeli history with the scale and horror of Hamas's carnage, the invocation of ISIS is not surprising.